The massive viewing windows of Lunar Base stretched from floor to ceiling, offering a breathtaking view of Earth's orbital shipyards. Admiral Patel couldn't help but press her hand against the cold glass as she watched history unfold before her eyes. After 15 years of construction, humanity's greatest achievement was finally ready to emerge from its chrysalis of scaffolding and construction drones. "All moorings disengaged," announced a calm voice over the intercom. HMS Prometheus preparing for first movement. The gathered crowd of engineers, military personnel, and civilian observers held their breath. Even the most seasoned space veterans among them had never seen anything like this before. The shipyard's massive arms slowly pulled back, revealing the true scale of what humanity had created. The Prometheus emerged like a mountain being born from the stars. Its hull was a masterpiece of engineering, 20 kilometers of gleaming titanium alloy that caught the sunlight and scattered it like diamonds. The ship moved with impossible grace for its size, each section larger than the biggest vessels humanity had previously built. Observation satellites captured the moment from multiple angles, broadcasting it to every corner of human space. "Look at those weapon emplacements," whispered Commander Singh, pointing to the massive turrets that dotted the hull. Each one could take out a small moon. He wasn't exaggerating. The Prometheus carried enough firepower to reshape solar systems, though that had never been its primary purpose. This ship was meant to be a statement. Humanity would no longer be ignored among the stars. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, automated sensors picked up unusual activity. Alien vessels, which had been quietly observing Earth's progress for decades, suddenly began powering down their systems and activating stealth protocols. Their reaction was telling. Even the most advanced alien civilizations were caught off guard by what they were seeing. The Prometheus's engines came to life, a soft blue glow emanating from massive thrust ports that could swallow smaller ships whole. The dark matter core at the heart of the vessel hummed to life, sending ripples through space-time that sensitive instruments could detect halfway across the solar system. This was technology that many alien species had deemed impossible for humans to achieve for at least another century. Admiral Patel smiled as she read the incoming data streams. The alien observers weren't just hiding, they were running. Centuries of dismissing humanity as primitive were being rewritten in real time as the Prometheus demonstrated capabilities that defied their understanding. The ship wasn't just big, it was smart, powerful, and represented technological leaps that should have taken multiple generations to achieve. "Send the signal," she ordered, and communication officers transmitted a simple message to every known alien observation post in the solar system: "Greetings from Earth." The HMS Prometheus invites diplomatic delegations from all spacefaring civilizations for a formal introduction in 30 Earth days. The response was immediate. Encrypted transmissions burst from hiding spots all across the Kuiper Belt as alien observers rushed to inform their governments. None of them had expected this. Humans weren't supposed to be capable of this level of engineering. The species that many had written off as barely space-capable had just unveiled a vessel that could outmatch entire defensive fleets. As the Prometheus completed its first maneuver, rotating its massive frame with precision that seemed to deny physics, Admiral Patel received the first diplomatic response. The Zoraxian Empire, known for their technological superiority and dismissive attitude toward younger species, requested an immediate audience. Their message carried priority markings usually reserved for first contact situations. "Looks like we got their attention," Commander Singh said with a slight grin. "That was the point," Admiral Patel replied, watching as more diplomatic requests flooded in. "Sometimes the best way to keep the peace is to show them exactly what they're dealing with." The Prometheus continued its graceful dance against the backdrop of Earth and its lunar colonies, its very existence rewriting the balance of power among the stars. Humanity's first Leviathan-Class Battleship hadn't fired a single shot, but it had already won its first victory. The age of being underestimated was over. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so chaotic. The massive holographic display at the center of the room showed the Prometheus in all its glory, and the sight of it had turned the usually dignified proceedings into barely controlled panic. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations talked over each other, their translator devices struggling to keep up with the flood of worried conversations. High Counselor Zix of the Xeraxian Empire, his crystalline form reflecting the hologram's light, finally managed to restore some order by activating the chamber's sonic dampeners. "We must address this development with clarity," he announced, his translated voice echoing through the chamber. Our initial assessments of human technological capabilities were clearly flawed. The detailed scans of the Prometheus played on repeat above them. Each new revelation caused ripples of discomfort through the assembled delegates. The ship's weapon systems alone represented technology that most civilizations had only theorized about. The humans hadn't just caught up to the galactic community. In some areas, they'd leaped far ahead. "Impossible," muttered a delegate from the Vran Collective, their feathered crest rising in agitation. "We monitored their development. They were working with basic fusion drives just 50 years ago. This level of advancement, it breaks every model we have of technological progression." The chamber's AI brought up comparison charts. The Prometheus wasn't just large. It represented engineering principles that many council members had deemed impossible. Its dark matter core operated on principles that the most advanced civilizations were still struggling to understand. The quantum shield array used technology that should have been centuries beyond human achievement. "They hid this from us," accused a representative of the Merolian Unity, their bioluminescent patches flashing with anger. "They must have had help. No species develops this quickly on their own." But the evidence suggested otherwise. The humans had done exactly what everyone thought impossible. They'd taken their understanding of the universe and pushed it far beyond what other civilizations had achieved in thousands of years. The Prometheus wasn't just a warship. It was proof that humanity had secretly become one of the most technologically advanced species in known space. Several smaller civilizations started reporting in. They were withdrawing their research stations and border patrols from human space. No one wanted to risk being seen as a potential threat. The massive battleship had changed the balance of power without firing a single shot. "My government is already receiving requests for peace talks from the humans," reported the Centaurian delegate, their holographic form flickering with nervousness. "They're being very polite about it, but the message is clear. Either we talk as equals, or we risk finding out exactly what that ship can do." The Council's strategic AI ran simulation after simulation, trying to find weaknesses in the Prometheus's design. Each result came back the same. Even a combined fleet from the most powerful council members would have trouble matching its capabilities. The humans had built something that made warfare nearly pointless. "Perhaps," suggested one of the elder race representatives, that ancient voice carrying wisdom earned over millennia, "we should consider that this was their intent. They didn't build this ship for war. They built it to ensure peace on their terms." The revelation hit the chamber like a physical force. The humans hadn't just created a weapon, they'd created a masterpiece of deterrence. The Prometheus was too powerful to challenge, too advanced to copy, and too well designed to ignore. They'd guaranteed their place among the stars not through conquest, but through sheer technological brilliance. "We have received a formal invitation," announced High Counselor Zix, displaying the human diplomatic message. "They wish to give us a tour of the vessel, to demonstrate their commitment to peaceful cooperation." The chamber erupted in discussion again. Everyone knew what this meant. The humans were offering the Council a chance to save face, to transition from dismissive superiors to equal partners without conflict. It was diplomatically brilliant, and it left the Council with only one real choice. As the delegates began drafting their response, the hologram of the Prometheus continued its slow rotation above them, a constant reminder that the galaxy's balance of power had shifted forever. The age of underestimating humanity was over, and a new era of galactic politics had begun. The bridge of the HMS Prometheus stretched wider than a football field, its massive viewscreens offering a panoramic view of space that made even veteran spacers catch their breath. Captain Rage stood at the command station, his experienced eyes scanning the hundreds of displays that kept him connected to every part of his massive vessel. 5,000 crew members served under his command, making the Prometheus not just a ship, but a moving city among the stars. "Engineering reports all systems nominal," announced his first officer, Commander Lee, her voice carrying the excitement they all felt. "Dark matter core is purring like a kitten." The comparison made several bridge crew members smile, comparing the most powerful engine humanity had ever built to a small house pet somehow made the whole situation feel more real. The Prometheus glided past Jupiter's orbit with impossible grace for something its size. Every movement was precisely calculated, the ship's quantum computers adjusting millions of variables per second to maintain perfect control. They weren't just showing off human engineering, they were dancing among the stars. "Sir," called out the sensor chief, her hands moving across holographic controls, "we're picking up something interesting near the Galilean moons." She didn't need to explain further. Everyone on the bridge knew what she meant. Another cloaked alien observation post, trying desperately to stay hidden while studying the massive human vessel. Captain Raj allowed himself a small smile. "Plot a course that takes us within visual range. Nice and casual, like we're just out for a Sunday drive." The crew understood perfectly. This wasn't about threatening the observers. This was about sending a message. The Prometheus altered its course slightly, its 20-kilometer length casting a shadow over Jupiter's moons as it passed. The ship's sensors could easily detect the alien vessel's power spike as they scrambled to gather as much data as possible. "They're probably wondering how we managed to build this without them noticing," Commander Lee said quietly, watching the sensor readings. The alien vessel was transmitting huge bursts of data back to wherever it came from. "Should we wave hello?" "Better than that," Captain Raj replied. "Open a channel, all frequencies, basic universal greeting protocols." The communication officer's fingers danced across her console, and a moment later, her voice rang clear. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Raj of the HNS Prometheus. We noticed you enjoying the view. Would you like to come a bit closer? We'd be happy to give you a proper look." The invitation was friendly, but everyone on the bridge understood its real meaning. "We see you. We've always seen you. And we're not afraid to let you see us." For several long moments, there was silence. Then, surprisingly, the alien vessel decloaked. It was sleek, obviously built for stealth and observation rather than combat. Against the backdrop of the Prometheus, it looked like a minnow next to a whale. "Thank you for the invitation, Prometheus," came the translated response. "But we have sufficient data for our purposes." The alien vessel's engines flared to life, preparing for faster-than-light travel. "As you wish," Captain Raj replied pleasantly. "Safe travels. And do let your friends know. Our invitation for diplomatic talks still stands. We'd love to share what we've learned." The alien ship vanished into FTL travel so quickly it almost seemed like they were running away. The bridge crew tried to maintain their professional composure, but a few couldn't help chuckling. "Sensor log complete, sir," reported the sensor chief. They got a good long look at our quantum shield array and the dark matter core emissions. Probably gave their scientists a few sleepless nights. Captain Rage nodded satisfied. The Prometheus continued its shakedown cruise, testing systems that most alien civilizations had deemed theoretical. Each successful test, each perfect maneuver, added to the message they were sending to the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just catching up, they were blazing new trails. "Plot our next course," he ordered, watching Jupiter shrink behind them. "Let's give a few more of our hidden friends a chance to appreciate human engineering." The massive ship turned gracefully, its movement defying everything the aliens thought they knew about human capabilities. The stars stretched out before them, infinite possibilities in every direction. The Prometheus wasn't just carrying its crew, it was carrying humanity's future among the stars. And based on the reactions they'd seen so far, that future was looking brighter than ever. The grand halls of the Galactic Council's diplomatic wing had never seen such a dramatic shift in power dynamics. Ambassador Kumar walked confidently through corridors where, just weeks ago, human representatives had been relegated to small, out-of-the-way offices. Now she was being escorted to the primary chamber, where the most influential species conducted their most crucial negotiations. "The Xerexian delegation is particularly eager to speak with you," said her alien guide, a tall being whose crystalline form caught the light in fascinating ways. "They've prepared what they call a comprehensive technological exchange program." The guide's translated voice couldn't completely hide their amusement. The same Xerexians who had dismissed humans as barely space-capable were now practically begging to share knowledge. The massive doors of the primary chamber slid open silently, revealing a room filled with representatives from dozens of previously hostile civilizations. The Draconid Imperium, the Vran Collective, and the Morolian Unity, all powers that had once threatened Earth's borders, now stood to attention as the human ambassador entered. "We have reviewed your proposed peace treaties," Ambassador Kumar announced, setting her datapad on the ornate table. The assembled aliens leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused intently on her words. "Earth finds them acceptable with some modifications." A ripple of relief passed through the chamber. Several species visibly relaxed, at least those whose biology allowed for visible relaxation. The Prometheus had changed everything, but it was this moment, this diplomatic dance, that would determine how the galaxy moved forward. "However," she continued, watching as the aliens tensed again, "we want to be clear about something. Earth isn't interested in domination or control. The Prometheus wasn't built to threaten. It was built to ensure that humanity would have a voice, an equal voice, in galactic affairs." The Morolian representatives' bioluminescent patches pulsed with what their cultural attaché had described as respectful acknowledgement. "Your species has certainly earned that voice," they said. "The technological achievements demonstrated by your vessel, they've caused us to reevaluate many of our assumptions." Ambassador Kumar smiled diplomatically. "That was part of the point. But now we have a choice to make, all of us. We can move forward as equals, sharing knowledge and resources for the benefit of all, or we can continue the old way of suspicion and threats." The chamber's AI projected a hologram of the Prometheus above the table. Even here, even now, the sight of it caused murmurs of amazement among the gathered delegates. Its very existence had rewritten the rules of what was possible. "The research stations you've had monitoring Earth," Ambassador Kumar said carefully, "we've known about them for years. Just as we knew about the battle fleets positioned near our border colonies. We chose not to react because we were busy with more important things, like building the Prometheus." The revelation sent another shock through the chamber. Humans hadn't just achieved the impossible. They'd done it while fully aware they were being watched and threatened. It was a level of strategic patience that many of the older species found both admirable and slightly terrifying. "My government proposes a new framework for interstellar relations," she continued, sending data packets to each delegate's system. "Joint research initiatives, open technological exchange, comprehensive defense treaties, a true partnership among equals." The Zoraxian representative, that crystalline formed shimmering with interest, spoke first. "These terms are surprisingly generous, given your current strategic advantage." Ambassador Kumar's response was firm but kind. "The advantage isn't the point. Cooperation is. Earth doesn't want subjects or vassals, we want allies. Partners, friends, even if your species use such concepts." The next few hours were filled with detailed negotiations, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The species that had once looked down on humanity now competed to establish the strongest diplomatic ties with Earth. Trade agreements were proposed, research partnerships were formed, and cultural exchange programs were enthusiastically planned. As the session ended, Ambassador Kumar couldn't help but feel proud. The Prometheus had opened the door, but it was here, in this chamber, that humanity's future among the stars was truly being secured, not through force or fear, but through wisdom, patience, and the willingness to extend a hand in friendship, even to those who had once doubted them. Deep within the heart of the Prometheus, in an engineering bay larger than most ships, Chief Engineer Patel watched his team's work with the precision of a well-rehearsed orchestra. The dark matter core hummed with power, its containment chamber glowing with a light that seemed to bend reality itself. This wasn't just an engine, it was humanity's greatest technological achievement. "Core temperature holding steady at optimal levels," reported his assistant, her eyes fixed on the holographic readouts floating around them. "Power output is," she paused, double-checking the numbers, "actually exceeding our theoretical models by 12%. The chief engineer nodded, making notes on his tablet. They'd known the dark matter core would be powerful, but it was still surpassing their expectations. Every day brought new discoveries about what this technology could do. "Sir," called one of the monitoring technicians, his voice tight with concern, "we're detecting some unusual fluctuations in the containment field." "Nothing critical, but..." Before he could finish, the call pulsed. It wasn't dangerous. The safety systems were working perfectly. But the energy signature that rippled out from the ship was unlike anything they'd seen before. The engineering crew held their breath, watching as the readings stabilized. "Status report," Patel commanded, his calm voice helping to keep everyone focused. "Containment field is secure," reported the first technician. "The pulse was just a harmonic resonance in the field matrix. We can adjust for it." But something else was happening. The ship's sensors were picking up rapid movement in nearby space. Several alien vessels that had been observing the Prometheus from what they thought was a safe distance suddenly activated their faster-than-light drives, practically running away from the energy pulse they detected. "Well," Patel said with a slight smile, "I guess we now know how sensitive their detection equipment is." The engineering crew shared knowing looks. The pulse hadn't been dangerous, but to anyone watching, it must have seemed like an awesome display of power. A call came in from the bridge. "Engineering, this is command. We're getting some interesting reactions from our visitors. Care to explain what just happened?" "Just a minor containment adjustment," Captain Patel replied. "The core is actually performing better than expected. Those energy readings the aliens picked up? That was just a tiny fraction of our total output capability." There was a pause from the bridge, then what sounded like a suppressed chuckle. "Understood, engineering. Carry on. And maybe warn us next time you're going to scare the neighbors." The engineering bay returned to its normal rhythm, but there was a new energy in the air. Every person there understood what had just happened. Without firing a weapon or making a threat, they just demonstrated why the Prometheus was revolutionizing galactic politics. "Sir," called another engineer, "incoming data from the sensor arrays. Looks like our little light show was picked up as far as the Kuiper Belt. The energy signature, it's nothing like what any known species uses." Patel walked over to the main display, studying the readings. The dark matter core wasn't just powerful. It represented a completely new understanding of physics. Humanity hadn't just caught up with alien technology, they'd taken a completely different path and ended up far ahead. "Log everything," he ordered. "Every reading, every fluctuation. This isn't just about power generation anymore. We're rewriting the rules of what's possible." The core continued its steady hum, powering systems that most alien species had deemed theoretical. Throughout the massive engineering section, human technicians and engineers worked with technology that they had created, not copied or reverse-engineered. This was human ingenuity at its finest. "Begin the next phase of core testing," Patel announced. "Let's show the galaxy what human engineering can really do." As his crews moved to their stations, he couldn't help but feel proud. The Prometheus wasn't just carrying them through space, it was carrying humanity into a future where they weren't just participants in galactic civilization, but leaders of it. The alien ships that had fled would spread the word. Humans hadn't just mastered dark matter technology, they transcended it. And this was just the beginning. The Drachnid scout ship hung in space like a silver needle against the stars, its crew watching in barely contained awe as the Prometheus drew near. Captain Rage stood on his bridge, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth as he watched the alien vessels approach on the main view screen. "They're really brave," commented Commander Lee, "or really curious. Most observation ships are still keeping their distance after that core pulse incident." The Drachnid ship was indeed different. Instead of hiding or running, they had sent a formal request for a closer look. It was a bold move, especially considering their species had once been among the most vocal about containing human expansion. "Opening communication channels," announced the comm officer. "They're responding in standard protocol." The main screen flickered to life, showing the Drachnid captain, a tall, elegant being with iridescent scales and multiple eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Prometheus Command, we accept your offer of inspection with gratitude." "Welcome," Captain Rage replied warmly. "Our docking bay is ready to receive your vessel. I think you'll find the tour enlightening." The Drachnid ship, barely the size of one of the Prometheus's shuttlecraft, glided into the massive docking bay. The alien crew emerged cautiously, their environmental suits gleaming under the bay's lights. Even through their protective gear, their amazement was obvious. "The docking bay alone could hold our entire scout fleet. the Drachnid captain commented, all four arms gesturing at the vast space around them. Their translator did its best to convey the mix of awe and unease in their voice. Lieutenant Chen, assigned as their guide, led the alien delegation through the ship. Each new section brought fresh surprise to their visitors. They passed through hydroponics gardens that could feed a small city, medical facilities more advanced than most planetary hospitals, and recreation areas that rivaled luxury resorts. "Your species built all this?" asked one of the Drachnid engineers, their scales shifting colors in what their cultural database indicated was disbelief. "Without any assistance?" "Completely human design and construction," Lieutenant Chen confirmed. "Would you like to see our quantum computing core? It helps manage all ship systems simultaneously." The aliens followed eagerly, their professional facade of diplomatic coolness cracking further with each revelation. The computing core's capabilities left them speechless. The automated defense systems made their scales pale. But it was the dark matter core that finally broke their composure. "Impossible," whispered the Drachnid chief engineer, all six of their eyes wide as they studied the readings. "The power output, the stability. We theorized this technology, but you didn't think we'd be the ones to perfect it." Lieutenant Chen finished politely. The alien's change in color was all the confirmation needed. Back on the bridge, Captain Raj watched the tour group through the ship's internal sensors. "They're taking a lot of scans," he noted. "Let them," Commander Lee replied. "Everything they're seeing was cleared for observation. Besides, sometimes the best way to maintain peace is to let potential adversaries know exactly what they're dealing with." The tour concluded in one of the ship's diplomatic lounges, with its spectacular view of space through windows stronger than most battleship hulls. The Drachnid captain, their scales now a thoughtful shade of blue-green, turned to face the human officers. "We came looking for weaknesses," they admitted, their honesty surprising everyone. "My government wanted to know if the stories about this ship were exaggerated. Instead, we found that they didn't do it justice." Captain Rage nodded appreciatively at their candor. "And what will you tell your government?" The alien captain's scales rippled with what their database identified as respectful awe. "That humanity isn't just advanced, you're revolutionary. Your ship doesn't just match our technology, it makes us question everything we thought we knew about what's possible." As the Drachnid crew prepared to return to their vessel, their movements were noticeably different, more careful, more respectful. They had come looking for flaws and found only wonders. Their report would spread quickly through the galaxy. The humans hadn't just built a warship, they'd created something that redefined the possible. "Safe journey," Captain Rage called as they departed. The Drachnid ship seemed even smaller now, dwarfed not just by the Prometheus' size, but by what it represented: humanity's undeniable arrival as a major power in the galaxy. The tension on the Prometheus' bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. 12 alien warships had taken up attack positions around the human vessel, their weapons charged and shields humming with power. It was meant to be a show of force, a coalition of worried species testing humanity's new flagship. "They really went all out," Commander Lee remarked, studying the tactical display. Ships from 3 different alien alliances had joined this little demonstration, each one representing what used to be considered superior technology. Captain Raj sat calmly in his command chair, seemingly unbothered by the rain of warships surrounding them. "Time to show them what human engineering can really do," he said quietly. "Activate the quantum shield array." The engineer's fingers danced across her console. "Quantum shields coming online, sir. Power flow stable." What happened next would be talked about in alien war colleges for generations. The Prometheus' shield system activated, but this was unlike anything the watching ships had ever seen. The quantum barrier that sprang up around the human vessel didn't just protect it, it bent reality itself. Sensor officers on the alien ships suddenly found their instruments overloading. The quantum shield operated on principles that their most advanced scientists had only theorized about. It didn't just stop attacks, it existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making it theoretically impenetrable. "Their sensors are going haywire," reported the Prometheus' tactical officer, trying to hide a smile. 3 ships have already powered down their weapons. They can't get stable targeting locks through the quantum field. The alien fleet's formation began to waver. They had come expecting to find some weakness, some flaw in humanity's newest achievement. Instead, they were facing technology that made their most powerful weapons seem primitive by comparison. "We're receiving a transmission," announced the comm officer. "The Xeraxian flagship is requesting permission to withdraw. They say they've seen enough." Captain Rage nodded. "Grant them permission, and make sure our sensors record everything. The defensive capabilities of this ship aren't just about protecting Earth, they're about preventing wars before they start." One by one, the alien vessels powered down their weapons. The mighty fleet that had assembled to test humanity's resolve was retreating without firing a single shot. The Prometheus's quantum shield had proven that any attack would be not just futile, but foolish. "Sir," called out the sensor chief, "we're picking up massive data transmissions between the alien ships and their home systems. They're completely rewriting their tactical assessments of human capabilities." Commander Lee leaned closer to the captain's chair. "Think they got the message?" "Oh, they got it," Captain Raj replied. "The Prometheus isn't just a defensive platform, it's a statement. Humanity isn't going to be pushed around anymore." As the last alien ship prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, a final message came through. "Prometheus Command." The translated voice carried a note of what could only be described as respect. "Our governments wish to revise their previous positions regarding Earth's status in the galactic community. We look forward to peaceful discussions," Captain Raj responded diplomatically. The alien ships vanished into FTL travel, leaving the Prometheus alone among the stars. The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but there was no hiding the pride in their eyes. Without firing a shot, without making threats, they had changed the balance of power in their corner of the galaxy. "Deploy the sensor, boys," Captain Raj ordered. "Let's make sure our friends can find their way back when they're ready to talk peace." The massive ship turned gracefully, its quantum shield shimming with possibilities that most alien species had thought impossible. This hadn't just been a test of the Prometheus, it had been a demonstration of humanity's new place in the cosmos. "Send a message to Earth Command," the captain added. "Tell them Phase 7 is complete. The galaxy now understands that humanity isn't just capable of defending itself, we're capable of changing everything they thought they knew about what's possible." As the Prometheus continued its patrol, its quantum shield casting ripples through space-time, the message was clear. The age of underestimating humanity was over. Peace would prevail, not through force, but through the undeniable achievement of human ingenuity. The grand halls of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity unlike anything seen in centuries. Representatives from over 500 spacefaring civilizations crowded the chamber, all eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing the latest data from the Prometheus incident. The quantum shield demonstration had changed everything. High Counselor Zix's crystalline form reflected the light as they addressed the assembly. "Our previous understanding of human technological capabilities was," they paused, searching for the right words, "fundamentally flawed. The Prometheus represents advancement beyond our most optimistic projections." In the human section, Ambassador Kumar sat quietly, watching as species that had once dismissed Earth as a backwater now competed to establish technological partnerships. The latest reports showed that 17 advanced civilizations had already begun sharing their most closely guarded secrets with Earth, hoping to gain access to human innovations in return. "The quantum shield technology alone," announced the Vran scientific advisor, their feathered crest rippling with excitement, "represents a leap forward that our best minds estimate would have taken us another 1,000 years to achieve, and the humans did it without any outside assistance." The assembly murmured in agreement. Screens around the chamber displayed statistics that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Multiple alien universities had already opened their doors to human students and teachers. Research facilities across the galaxy were requesting human scientists to lead their most advanced projects. "We've received word," the Merolian representative announced, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with urgency, "that the humans have approved construction of 2 more Leviathan-class vessels." The news sent another wave of excitement through the chamber. The species that had once feared human expansion now saw it as an opportunity for advancement. Ambassador Kumar stood, drawing all attention. Earth wants to be clear about our intentions, she said, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. These ships aren't meant to threaten or dominate. They're bridges between stars, between species, between different ways of thinking about what's possible. The proof was in the data scrolling across the chamber's displays. Already, joint research projects between humans and aliens were yielding remarkable results. The combination of human innovation with alien experience was opening doors that neither side had thought possible. My government has authorized me to announce, Kumar continued, that we're establishing the Interstellar Institute of Advanced Sciences. All member species will have access to human technological developments in exchange for open cooperation and peaceful exchange of knowledge. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Species that had been rivals for millennia were suddenly discussing joint applications to work with human scientists. The Prometheus hadn't just changed military calculations, it had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization. The humans are offering us something more valuable than technology, observed one of the elder race representatives, that ancient voice-carrying wisdom earned over eons. They're offering us a new way of thinking about progress itself. Reports continued to flood in from across known space. The latest scans of the Prometheus had been shared among alien scientific communities, sparking what many were calling a renaissance of theoretical physics. Problems that had stumped alien scientists for generations were being solved by combining human approaches with alien knowledge. We stand at a turning point, Ambassador Kumar concluded, not just for humanity, but for all spacefaring species. The question isn't whether we can advance together, it's how far we'll go when we do. As if to emphasize her point, new data from the Prometheus appeared on the main display. The ship's quantum shield had just demonstrated another previously theoretical capability, causing several alien scientists in the chamber to frantically update their equations. The message was clear: humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community, they were revolutionizing it. The species that had once looked down on Earth were now looking to humans for leadership in science, engineering, and innovation. The age of human technological supremacy had begun, not with conquest or domination, but with an open hand of friendship and a mind open to possibilities that others had thought impossible. The galaxy would never be the same. The observation deck of the Prometheus offered a breathtaking view of Earth's edge, the planet's curved horizon glowing with the first rays of dawn. Captain Rage stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as construction drones swarmed around two massive shapes taking form in the orbital shipyards. The Titan and the Atlas, Commander Lee said, joining him at the window. They're already ahead of schedule. The two new Leviathan-class vessels were larger than the Prometheus, incorporating all the lessons learned from their flagship's successful deployment. Below them, Earth had transformed. Cities gleamed with new technology, their towers reaching toward the stars. Shipping lanes between Earth and alien worlds bustled with trade vessels. The planet that many alien species had once dismissed as primitive now stood as the center of a technological revolution. Latest report from the diplomatic course. Commander Lee continued, checking her tablet. 3 more advanced civilizations have requested to join the Interstellar Institute. They're sending their brightest minds to study at Earth universities. The captain nodded, a slight smile playing at his lips. Who would have thought? 6 months ago, they were debating whether to contain us. Now they're competing to learn from us. Through the massive windows, they could see alien ships moving peacefully alongside human vessels. The Prometheus's presence had done more than ensure peace, it had fostered understanding. Species that had once viewed Earth with suspicion now saw it as a beacon of innovation. Engineering reports the quantum shield modifications are complete, reported Chief Engineer Patel over the comm. The new configuration is even more stable than our original design. Already getting requests from alien engineers wanting to study the principles. The Prometheus had become more than just a ship, it was a floating university, a diplomatic hub, and a symbol of humanity's unique approach to technological advancement. Its corridors now hosted regular exchanges between human and alien scientists, each learning from the other's perspective. Deep space sensors are picking up something interesting, announced the sensor chief from the bridge. Remember those isolationist species that refused to talk to us? 3 of their research vessels just requested permission to approach. They're saying they don't want to be left behind. The galaxy was changing and humanity was leading that change, not through force or fear, but through innovation and openness to new possibilities. The Prometheus patrolled the borders of human space not as a threat, but as a promise of what cooperation could achieve. Admiral's latest transmission, Commander Lee added, unable to hide her pride. The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth as a primary innovation center. We're now classified as one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. Looking out at the construction of the new ships, Captain Wright reflected on how far they'd come. The Prometheus had been built to protect Earth, but it had accomplished something far greater. It had shown the galaxy a new way forward. Set course for the outer patrol route, he ordered as they returned to the bridge. Let's remind everyone that humanity's advancement isn't just about building bigger ships, it's about building a better future for all species. As the massive vessel moved gracefully away from Earth, its quantum shields shimmering with possibilities that most species were only beginning to understand, the message was clear. Humanity had not only claimed its place among the stars, it had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization. The future stretched out before them, infinite with potential. The Prometheus led the way, not as a weapon of war, but as a bridge between worlds. The age of human innovation had begun, and it was already changing everything. In the shipyards behind them, the Titan and Atlas took shape, each representing humanity's continued commitment to pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But they weren't being built to intimidate, they were being built to explore, to connect, to unite. The stars beckoned, and humanity, once thought primitive and isolated, now led the way toward a future that even the oldest spacefaring races had never imagined possible. The Prometheus had shown them the way, and there was no turning back.